The thing about going back to the place that destroyed you is that your body remembers before your mind catches up. My hands started shaking about 10 miles out from Moonwhisper Pack. Not a lot, just enough that I had to grip the steering wheel tighter. I told myself it was the coffee. 3 cups in 2 hours because I'd barely slept, because every time I closed my eyes I saw his face. Draven's face. The way he'd looked at me that night. No, I wasn't going to think about that. Not yet. I pulled over at a gas station just outside the border and sat there with the engine running, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My wolf was pacing inside me. She had been for the last hour. She wanted out. She wanted to run, to hunt, to rip into something with teeth and claws. 3 years away hadn't dulled her anger. If anything, she was sharper now and hungrier. We both were. Text lit up my phone. Unknown number, but I knew who it was. You don't have to do this. I almost laughed. Thaler, always trying to save me from myself. I typed back quickly, yes, I do. His response came immediately. Then at least be careful. Ragnar's not the same alpha your father served under. I knew that. Everyone knew that. Ragnar Moonwhisper had taken over the pack 2 years ago when his father stepped down, and from what I'd heard, he'd been cleaning house ever since. Stricter rules. Harsher punishments. Zero tolerance for what he called pack politics, which was rich, considering what he'd allowed to happen to me. But I wasn't here for Ragnar. I turned off the car and got out. The September air hit me immediately, cool and sharp, carrying scents I hadn't smelled in 3 years. Pine sap, creek water, wood smoke from the pack houses, and underneath it all, something wilder. The scent of wolves who belonged to each other, who ran together under the same moon. I used to belong here. I used to belong to him. My stomach twisted, and for a second, I thought I might actually be sick. But then my wolf surged up, angry and protective, and the nausea passed. She was right. We weren't that girl anymore. That girl had died the night Draven chose my sister over me. I got back in the car and drove. My life in Silver Creek was quiet, and that was exactly how I liked it. I worked at a local gym, teaching self-defense to humans who had no idea what I really was. At night, I ran, not for fun and not for freedom, but for speed. I pushed my body until my lungs burned and my muscles screamed, building a version of myself that was a weapon. I wasn't the weak girl who had been rejected anymore. I was a survivor. But no matter how far I ran or how hard I trained, the pull of the pack bond, the phantom itch of a home I no longer had, never truly went away. It was that itch that finally forced my hand. He stared at me. Behind him, the other guard, younger and unfamiliar, had his hand on his radio. Travis held up a hand to stop him. "What are you doing here?" Travis asked. His tone wasn't hostile, exactly, more confused, maybe a little concerned. The Harvest Moon Festival. Alpha Ragnar sent out the summons to all pack wolves. I kept my voice level, casual, like my heart wasn't trying to beat its way out of my chest. I'm still pack, aren't I? I was never formally exiled. That last part came out harder than I intended. Travis winced. "No," he said quietly. "No, you weren't." We both knew why. Exiling me would have required acknowledging what happened. Acknowledging that Draven had rejected his fated mate publicly, brutally, in front of... "Does he know you're coming?" Travis asked. Draven, hearing his name out loud, felt like a punch. I kept my face blank. "I don't know," I said. "Does it matter?" Travis studied me for a long moment. Finally, he sighed and stepped back. "Park protocol says I need to announce all arrivals to the Alpha House. So announce me." He pulled out his radio. When he turned back to me, something in his expression had shifted, almost like Pity. You're cleared to enter, he said. Alpha Ragnar wants to see you. Directly. I drove through the checkpoint. The trees grew thicker here, older. I parked in the circular drive of the Alpha house. Once I walked through those doors, there was no going back. Luna Moonwhisper led me upstairs. My son is waiting for you in his office. I stepped past her. Ragnar Moonwhisper sat behind a massive desk. He looked at me for a long moment. Ravenna Nyko, he said. 3 years, no word, no contact. And now you show up 2 days before the harvest moon. Why are you here, Ravenna? I could have lied. I should have lied, but I told the truth. Revenge, I said. His eyebrows rose slightly. Revenge, he repeated. Against. Who do you think? Draven doesn't know you're here, Ragnar said. Do you know what happened after you left? Your sister broke the claiming 3 months after you left. She came to my father and rejected Draven, said she couldn't live with what she'd done, that she'd made a mistake. She left the pack shortly after. No one's seen her since. The room spun slightly. Talia had rejected him. Draven took it badly, Ragnar continued. He's my second now. Does this change your plans? I thought about it. No, I said. It doesn't change anything. I turned to leave. He asked about you, Ragnar spoke again. In the beginning, he wanted to know if anyone had heard from you. I told him no. I thought you deserved your peace. I walked back to my car, my mind reeling. My phone rang as I reached the car. Thaler, of course. You're inside Packlands, he said. Are you insane? Probably, I admitted. Did you know about Talia? There was a deep silence and then, yeah, I didn't think it mattered. Ragnar just told me, I responded. I need a place to stay, somewhere in town, not on Packlands. There's a rental above the bookstore. Mrs. Morrigan owns it. She's human, doesn't ask questions. Perfect. Text me the address. The rental above the bookstore was small, smelling of old paper and lemon wax. It was perfect. I dropped my bag on the bed and went straight to the window. Below, the street was empty. Draven was gone. My heart was still hammering against my ribs, a frantic, rhythmic reminder of how much he still affected me. I hated it. I hated that, after 3 years of building a new life, one look from him could turn me back into that shattered girl. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small, wooden box. Inside was the only thing I'd taken from my father's house. A silver dagger, the hilt carved with the Moonwhisper crest. It was supposed to be my wedding gift. Knock at the door made me jump, my hand instinctively flying to the dagger. It's me, a voice called out, Thaler. I let out a breath and opened the door. He was leaning against the frame, looking exactly the same, messy blonde hair, kind eyes, and a permanent look of concern. You look like hell, he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Nice to see you too, I muttered, closing the door. I saw Draven downstairs. He looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Care to tell me what happened? Nothing happened. We talked for 2 minutes, I'm fine. Ravenna, Thaler said, his voice dropping an octave. You're shaking. My throat tightened. I rarely talked about my mother. She died when I was 10, a rogue attack while she was out hunting alone. After that, it had just been me, my father, and eventually my sister when my father remarried a few years later. I didn't know that, I said quietly. Your mother was a lovely woman, gentle and kind. Mrs. Morrigan paused, but she had steel in her too, when it mattered, when someone she loved was threatened. She patted my hand. I see that same steel in you, child. I wasn't sure about that. Steel would have meant staying, fighting for Draven instead of running. But I appreciated the sentiment. Thank you, Mrs. Morrigan. I browsed the stacks for a while, not looking for anything in particular, just needing something to do with my hands, my mind. I was in the back corner, the old classics section, when I caught his scent again. Cedar and leather, storm and wild things. I turned. Draven stood at the end of the aisle, his hands shoved in his pockets, looking uncertain in a way I'd never seen from him before. "I'm not stalking you," he said immediately. "I came to get a book. I didn't know you'd be here." That was probably a lie. Draven had never been much of a reader. "What book?" I challenged. He glanced at the shelves, grabbed something at random and held it up. "The Art of War." Despite everything, I almost smiled. Classic Draven, always thinking about strategy, battle, winning. "Little light reading." Ragnar recommended it. He set the book down, took a step closer. "Ravenna, about yesterday. Ragnar told you to stay away from me today." I tensed up. I don't take orders about my personal life, not even from my alpha. "Then take a request from me. Leave me alone, Draven." "I can't." He said it simply, like it was just a fact. "Seeing you yesterday, realizing you're actually here, I can't just pretend that didn't happen." "You managed to pretend I didn't exist for 3 years. That's not fair." "Fair," the word came out sharp. "You want to talk to me about fair." Human customer turned the corner, saw us, and quickly retreated. Right, we were in public, in a human establishment. This wasn't the place for this conversation, but I couldn't make myself walk away. "You rejected me," I said, keeping my voice low but letting all the anger, all the hurt bleed through. "In front of everyone. You didn't explain. You didn't apologize. You just ended us. And then you moved on to my sister like I was nothing." "You weren't nothing." His voice was rough and raw. "You were everything. You are everything. Don't." I held up a hand, backing away. "Don't do that. Don't stand there and say things like that when you're the one who destroyed us." I had to. The words burst out of him. "Ravenna, I had to, and I can't tell you why, but you have to believe me." "I don't have to believe anything." My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. "You made your choice 3 years ago. Live with it." I pushed past him, walking quickly toward the front of the store. He followed. "Ravenna, wait. No." I didn't look back. "I'm done waiting for you, Draven. I'm done with all of this." I made it outside before the tears started. Angry tears, frustrated tears, the kind that made me even more furious because I didn't want to cry over him anymore. I'd spent 3 years crying. I was supposed to be past this, but apparently some wounds just kept bleeding. I walked aimlessly for a while, letting my feet carry me through the familiar streets of Blackridge Falls, past the diner where Draven and I used to share milkshakes, past the park where he'd first told me he loved me, past the bridge where he'd promised we'd have forever. Every corner held a memory, every street a ghost of what we'd been. I ended up at the edge of the forest, where pack lands met the wild woods beyond. The place where, as teenagers, we'd sneak away to shift and run together, young and stupid, and so in love it hurt. My wolf stirred, wanting to run like we used to, but I held her back. Not yet. Not here, where everything reminded me of him. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Please come to the festival tonight. Even if you hate me, even if you never want to see me again, just come." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it without responding. But I knew I'd go, not because of Draven's message. Because Ragnar was right, I needed to remember what I'd been missing. Needed to see the pack again, reconnect with the wolves I'd grown up with. This was still my home, my pack. And I'd given up too much already. I wasn't giving up anything else. The Harvest Moon Festival had always been my favorite pack tradition. It happened once a year, on the full moon closest to the autumn equinox. A celebration of the harvest, of abundance, of the pack's strength and unity. There'd be food and music, pack runs through the forest, the alpha's blessing for the coming winter months. When I was young, my mother would dress me up in my best clothes and braid flowers into my hair. She'd hold my hand as we walked to the gathering grounds, telling me stories about harvest moons past, about the pack's history and our place in it. I wondered what she'd think of me now, coming back after 3 years, not to reunite, but to what? I still wasn't sure. I got ready slowly, deliberately. I chose a simple dress, dark green, nothing fancy but nice enough. Left my hair down, wavy and loose past my shoulders, minimal makeup. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted to look like I belonged. The sun was starting to set when I left the apartment. I could already hear the music drifting from the pack grounds, drums and guitars, laughter and voices raised in greeting. The walk took about 15 minutes. Long enough that by the time I arrived, my heart was pounding and my palms were sweaty. The entrance to the gathering grounds was lit with torches, the flames dancing in the evening breeze. Wolves were streaming in, some I recognized, many I didn't. I took a deep breath and walked through the entrance. The gathering grounds looked exactly as I remembered. A large clearing in the forest, surrounded by ancient trees, with a massive bonfire in the center. Tables laden with food lined one side, roasted meats, fresh bread, vegetables from the pack gardens, desserts that made my mouth water. On the other side, musicians played on a raised platform, the music wild and primal and perfect for dancing. Everywhere I looked, wolves were laughing, talking, greeting each other with hugs and affection. Pack. Family. Everything I'd walked away from. Ravenna, a tentative voice behind me. I turned. A woman about my age stood there, her eyes wide with surprise. It took me a second to place her, Michelle, who'd been a year behind me in pack school. Michelle, hi. Oh my God, it really is you. She threw her arms around me in an impulsive hug. When did you get back? Are you back? Does this mean you're staying? The questions came rapid fire, but her enthusiasm was genuine. It loosened something tight in my chest. Just got back yesterday, I said. And I don't know yet about staying. Well, whether you stay or not, I'm glad you're here. She linked her arm through mine. Come on, you have to see everyone. They're not going to believe it. She dragged me deeper into the festival, and suddenly I was surrounded. Wolves I'd grown up with, wolves I'd played with as children, wolves I'd trained with as teenagers. Some greeted me warmly, genuinely happy to see me. Others were more cautious, their eyes filled with questions they didn't ask. No one mentioned Draven, or my sister, or what had happened 3 years ago. It was like everyone had agreed to pretend that part didn't exist. Ravenna Nico. A gruff voice cut through the chatter. I turned to find myself face to face with Garrett, the pack's head warrior. He was in his 50s, built like a tank, with scars covering his arms and a graying beard. He taught me hand-to-hand combat when I was 16. Garrett. I dipped my head respectfully. He studied me for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You've been training. I can see it in the way you stand, more balanced, more centered. Silver Creek has good warriors. Good enough to keep up with what I taught you. Better, I said honestly. He barked out a laugh. Well, at least something good came from you leaving us. He clapped me on the shoulder hard enough to make me stumble. Welcome home, girl. Something about his words, the casual way he said welcome home, made my throat tight. Michelle was still chattering beside me. The festival swirled around us, alive and vibrant. For just a moment, I let myself relax. Let myself remember what it felt like to be part of something bigger than myself. to belong to a pack, a family, a home. Then I caught his scent on the wind, cedar and leather, storm and wild things. I turned. Draven stood on the other side of the bonfire, talking to a group of younger wolves. He was wearing dark jeans and a dark green shirt that brought out his eyes, his hair pushed back from his face. He looked every inch the second, commanding and confident. And then he looked up, saw me, and everything else fell away. The music was still playing. People were still laughing. But all I could hear was my own heartbeat, thundering in my ears. All I could see was him, across the flames, staring at me like I was the only person in the world. My wolf whimpered and pushed against my skin, wanting him. No, we'd been through this. He wasn't ours anymore. I forced myself to look away. Ravenna, Michelle touched my arm. Are you okay? Fine, just I need some air. We're outside. More air. I'll be right back. I walked away from the bonfire, toward the edge of the clearing where the forest began. Where it was darker, quieter. I made it about 50 feet before I heard footsteps behind me. I asked you to stay away from me, I said, without turning around. I did all day. I stayed away. Draven's voice was close, too close. But you're here now, at my PAX festival. I can't avoid you here. You could try. I don't want to, I spun to face him. What do you want, Draven? Because I can't figure it out. You rejected me. You claimed my sister. You broke us in every way possible. And now you're following me around like what? Like we're still together. Like you didn't destroy everything. He flinched. I know what I did, do you? Do you really? Because from where I'm standing, it seems like you have no idea. Didn't just reject me, Draven. You humiliated me in front of the entire pack. You made me watch you choose my sister over me. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Yes, his voice cracked. Yes, I do, because it destroyed me too. Oh, you were destroyed, I laughed. You got to stay here. You got to keep your position, your pack, your life. I lost everything, my home, my family, my mate, everything. I lost you. He took a step closer. I lost the only thing that mattered. Then why did you do it? Why choose Talia? I deserve to know, Draven. After everything, I at least deserve the truth. He opened his mouth, closed it, shook his head. I can't tell you, can't or won't, both. His hands clenched into fists. Ravenna, if I could explain, I would. But I can't, I'm bound by, he stopped. I just can't. Bound by what? I can't tell you that either. I stared at him. This man I'd loved since I was 15. And he was standing here asking me to forgive him without explanation. Then we have nothing to talk about, I said. I started to walk past him. He caught my arm, gently this time. Dance with me, he said. One dance, that's all I'm asking. One dance, and then I'll leave you alone for the rest of the night. Draven, please. His eyes were bright in the darkness, desperate. I know I don't deserve it. I know I have no right to ask. But please, Ravenna, just one dance. I should have said no. I should have kept the walls up. But there was something in his voice. Something broken and honest and so raw that it bypassed every defense I had. One dance, I heard myself say. And then you leave me alone. I promise. He led me to the edge, where the music was softer, the firelight dimmer. He pulled me close, one hand at my waist, the other holding mine. We started to sway to the music. I thought about you every day, Draven said quietly. For 3 years, every single day. I'd wake up and forget, for just a second, that you were gone. I'd turn to tell you something, and you wouldn't be there. His hand tightened slightly. Thaler told me you were doing well, that you'd found a place in Silver Creek. That you were happy. Thaler talks too much. Were you? His eyes found mine. Happy. No, I admitted. But I was surviving. That was enough. It shouldn't have been. You deserve more than surviving. He was quiet for a moment. Talia left 3 months after you did. She said she couldn't live with the guilt, that every time she looked at me, she saw what we'd done to you, what I'd made her do. He paused. She apologized. She said she never should have agreed to it. Agreed to what? Draven, what? I can't explain. I wish I could. God, you have no idea how much I wish I could. But I'm bound by an oath, and breaking it would. He stopped. It would hurt people I care about. He'd rejected me because of an oath. Who made you swear? Who had the right to make you destroy us? I can't tell you that either. Can't or won't. Both. We'd stopped dancing. We're just standing there, wrapped up in each other. You're not being fair, I said. I know nothing about this is fair. His forehead dropped to rest against mine. I'm sorry, Ravenna, for everything. For hurting you, for not being able to explain, for being a coward who couldn't find another way. A coward would have run. You stayed and faced it, I responded. Did I? Or did I just make you run instead? Someone cleared their throat behind us. Ragnar stood there, his expression unreadable. The Alpha's blessing is about to begin, he said. Ravenna, as a returned member of the pack, you should be there. It wasn't a request. I nodded, grateful for the interruption. I'll walk you back, Draven said. No need. I can find my way. I looked at Ragnar. Lead on, Alpha. As I walked away with Ragnar, I felt Draven's eyes on my back. I felt the weight of everything unsaid hanging between us. You're playing with fire, Ragnar said quietly as we walked. Maybe I like the burn. That was almost clever. I have my moments. We reached the main bonfire. Ragnar moved to stand on a raised platform, and the music faded. Pack, Ragnar's voice carried across the clearing. Tonight, we celebrate the harvest. We give thanks for family, for home, for the bonds that make us more than just individual wolves. His eyes swept across the crowd and paused, just for a second, on me. We also give thanks for those who have returned to us, for second chances and new beginnings. The pack is stronger when all its members are home. I felt eyes turn toward me, but I kept my gaze on Ragnar. May the moon guide us, the pack echoed as one. The blessing was over. Music started up again, louder now, wilder. Wolves began to shift. It was time for the pack run, the best part of the festival. My wolf surged up, desperate to join them. Michelle appeared at my side. Are you going to run? I hesitated. Running with the pack meant accepting my place here, but my wolf didn't care. She just wanted to run. Yeah, I said. I'm running. I moved to the edge of the clearing where others were shifting. Started to pull off my dress, but then was suddenly interrupted. Ravenna. I turned. A woman stood there, probably in her late 40s, with sharp features and calculating eyes. Diana, Draven's mother. My stomach sank. Diana, I kept my voice neutral. I didn't expect to see you here. I'm still pack. Are you? You left without a word. And now you show up and expect everything to be as it was. Diana stepped closer. Let me be clear, Ravenna. Draven made the right choice. You weren't strong enough to be his mate, to stand beside him as second. He needed someone better. Someone who can be what the pack needs. I wasn't strong enough to watch the man I loved choose my sister over me without explanation. I wasn't strong enough to stay in a pack that stood by and let it happen. Diana's eyes narrowed. But you know what? I'm stronger now. Strong enough to come back. Strong enough to look you in the eye and tell you that your son didn't make the right choice. He made the coward's choice, and he's been paying for it ever since. How dare you? I'm done. Don't you ever tell me I wasn't strong enough. I turned and walked away. I needed to shift. I needed to run before I did something I'd regret. I stripped quickly, letting my dress fall to the ground. Bones lengthened, reshaped. Fur sprouted across my skin. And then I was wolf, 4 paws on the ground, tail high. Ragnar shifted last, his wolf massive and dark. He raised his head and howled, and then we ran. The pack moved as one, flowing through the forest like water. I ran in the middle, surrounded by wolves I'd known my whole life. Somewhere behind me, I could feel Draven, his presence like a brand between my shoulder blades. I ran faster, pushed harder, trying to lose him in the crowd, but he kept up easily. Eventually, I gave up and just focused on the run itself, the thrill of running with my pack again, feeling the shared purpose. This was what I'd missed. Not Draven, not the drama. This, the simple, primal pleasure of being wolf, of being home. We ran for what felt like hours. Eventually, Ragnar led us back, and one by one, we shifted back. I was fixing my dress when Draven appeared beside me. "You're faster than you used to be," he said. "Silver Creek has good trainers." I pulled my dress over my head, not looking at him. "You promised to leave me alone after one dance." That was before my mother cornered you, so he'd seen that or heard about it. News traveled fast in a pack. "I can handle your mother. I know you can, but that doesn't mean you should have to." He caught my arm as I started to walk away. "Ravenna, what she said, it wasn't true. You were always strong enough." I pulled free. "If that were true, you wouldn't have rejected me." "That had nothing to do with your strength. It had everything to do with mine." His jaw clenched, or lack thereof. "I don't understand." "I know, and I can't make you understand. That's the hell of it." He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "But you need to know what my mother said, what anyone else might say. None of it is true. You've always been more than strong enough for me, for this pack, for anything." I wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly it hurt, but words were cheap. He'd said beautiful things to me 3 years ago too, promised me forever, and then he'd ripped it all away. "Good night, Draven," I said. This time, he let me go. I made my way back through the festival, avoiding eye contact, dodging conversations. I just wanted to get back to the apartment, to be alone, to process everything that had happened. But as I reached the edge of the gathering grounds, someone stepped into my path. "Thaler." "You came," I said, surprised. "Of course I came. You sounded like you were about to fall apart on the phone." He pulled me into a hug, and I sagged against him, letting myself lean on someone for the first time all night. "How bad was it?" "I ran with the pack." "That's good." "I talked to Draven." "That's bad." "His mother told me I wasn't strong enough to be his mate." "That's very bad." Despite everything, I laughed. Thaler had always been able to make me laugh, even when everything was falling apart. "Come on," he said, keeping an arm around my shoulders. "Let's get you home. You look exhausted." He walked me back to the apartment, keeping up a steady stream of commentary. It was exactly what I needed, familiar, comfortable, safe. At the apartment door, I turned to him. "Thank you for coming." "Always." He studied my face. "You look like you've been through a war." "I feel like it." "Is it worth it?" he asked quietly. "Being back here, facing all of this," I thought about that. About Draven's desperate eyes, about running with the pack, about Diana's cruel words and Ragnar's strange protectiveness. "I don't know yet," I admitted. "Ask me in a few days." "I'll hold you to that." He kissed my forehead. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow's a new day." After he left, I collapsed onto the bed fully dressed. My wolf was content, sated from the run, but my mind was racing. Draven couldn't explain why he'd rejected me. He claimed he was bound by some oath that prevented him from telling the truth. Diana thought I wasn't good enough. Talia had left out of guilt. And Ragnar was interesting. Protective in a way I hadn't expected. Concerned about his pack, yes, but also about me specifically. Like he saw something in me that others didn't. Or maybe I was reading too much into it. I fell asleep thinking about green eyes and cedar scent, about promises broken and truths hidden. I woke to someone pounding on my door. The sun was barely up, pale light filtering through the curtains. I stumbled out of bed, still wearing yesterday's dress, my hair a disaster. The pounding came again. "I'm coming," I called. I opened the door, expecting Thaler. It was Ragnar. He looked like he'd been awake for hours, dressed in running clothes, his hair damp with sweat, his expression grim. "Get dressed," he said without preamble. "You're coming with me." "What? Why?" "Because we have a problem, and you're part of it." That woke me up fast. "What kind of problem?" "The kind that involves rogues camping on our border, asking for you by name." My blood went cold. "What?" "You heard me. 3 rogues showed up at the western checkpoint an hour ago. They're demanding to speak with Ravenna." His eyes were hard. "Care to explain why rogues from outside my pack know you're here?" I had no idea. No idea at all. "Give me 5 minutes to change," I said. "You have 3. He waited in the hallway while I threw on jeans and a shirt. I met Ragnar at the door. He was already walking, and I had to jog to keep up. "Did they say what they want?" I asked. "To speak with you, that's it." He glanced at me. "You have any enemies I should know about?" "No, I kept to myself in Silver Creek. Didn't make enemies." "Then who are these wolves, and why are they here?" "I don't know." We reached his truck parked at the curb. He drove fast, taking corners too sharp, his jaw tight with tension. "If this turns into a situation," he said as we drove, "I need you to listen to me. Follow my orders. Don't engage unless I tell you to." "I understand." "Do you?" "Because rogues don't just show up at pack borders asking for specific wolves. Not without reason. And usually that reason is violence." The cold feeling in my stomach got worse. We drove for about 15 minutes, heading west toward the border. The checkpoint was larger than the one I'd come through, more guards, more security. And standing in the middle of the road, flanked by at least a dozen pack warriors, were 3 wolves I'd never seen before in my life. 2 men, 1 woman, all young, maybe mid-20s, dressed in worn clothes, carrying backpacks, looking travel-weary, but alert and dangerous. Ragnar parked and got out. I followed, staying slightly behind him. "Alpha," one of the warriors nodded in greeting. "These 3 crossed into our pack and requested to speak with Ravenna. We've held them here as ordered." "Have they said why?" Ragnar asked. "No, Alpha, only that it's urgent." Ragnar studied the 3 rogues. They stared back, not aggressive, but not backing down either. The woman stepped forward slightly. "You're the Alpha?" she asked. "I am." "Then you can give us what we want. Let us talk to Ravenna, and we'll leave peacefully." "I don't negotiate with rogues who show up at my borders making demands," Ragnar said, his voice cold. "You'll explain your business, or you'll leave. Those are your options." The woman's eyes flicked past Ragnar and landed on me. "You're her, aren't you, Ravenna?" My wolf bristled. I stepped up next to Ragnar, ignoring his sharp look. "I'm Ravenna," I said. "Who are you?" "My name is Jade." The woman gestured to the 2 men flanking her. "This is Cole and Finn. We're from the Moongaze pack." "What do you want with me?" I asked. "We've been looking for you," Jade said, "for months. Heard you were in Silver Creek, but by the time we got there, you'd left. Then we heard you'd come back to Blackridge, so we followed." "Why?" Jade exchanged glances with the 2 men. Then she pulled something from her pocket, an envelope, worn and crumpled from travel. "Your sister asked us to deliver this to you," she said. "Before she died." The world tilted. "What?" The word came out barely a whisper. "Talia Nyko. She was with our pack for about 6 months. Then she got sick. Some kind of illness, the healers couldn't figure out what. She died 2 months ago." Jade's expression softened. "Before she passed, she made us promise to find you, to give you this letter. She said it was important, that you deserved to know the truth." I stared at the envelope like it was a snake. Talia was dead. My sister, my beautiful, gentle sister who I'd hated for 3 years, was dead. Ravenna, Ragnar's voice was gentle. Do you want to read it here or here? I reached for the envelope, my hands shaking. I'll read it here. Jade handed it over. The envelope was addressed to me in Talia's careful handwriting. Just my name, nothing else. I opened it carefully, unfolding the single sheet of paper inside, and began to read. Dearest Ravenna, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for so many things, but mostly for not being brave enough to tell you the truth while I was still alive. I need you to know what really happened 3 years ago. Why Draven rejected you. Why I stood beside him when he claimed me. All of it. Dad was dying. He'd been sick for months, but he hid it from everyone. Some kind of cancer, aggressive and untreatable. The healers said he had maybe 6 months. He was terrified, not of dying, but of leaving you alone, of not being there to protect you. Draven's father, Alpha Torridge, made a deal with Dad. He said if Draven claimed me instead of you, if you were free of the mate bond, then when Dad died, the Alpha would ensure you were taken care of. Protected. Given a position in the pack, resources, safety, everything you'd need. But there was a condition. You couldn't know. If you knew the rejection was political, not personal, you'd fight it. Try to stay with Draven. And Alpha Torridge said that couldn't happen. That the arrangement only worked if you believed you were truly rejected. If you left on your own. So Draven did it. He rejected you publicly, brutally, in a way that would make you hate him, make you leave. He swore an oath to his Alpha to never tell you the truth, no matter what. He sacrificed your relationship, your love, your future together to keep you safe. And I went along with it. God help me, I went along with it because I loved you too, because I wanted you safe, even if it meant you'd hate me forever. Dad died 4 months after you left, quietly, in his sleep. Alpha Torridge kept his word. He set up a trust fund for you, made sure you'd be taken care of financially. But by then, you were in Silver Creek, and none of us knew how to reach you. I left 3 months after that. I couldn't stay. I couldn't look at Draven every day and see the pain in his eyes. I couldn't face the pack that had watched us destroy you. So I ran, just like you did. I'm sorry, Ravenna. Sorry for hurting you. Sorry for not being strong enough to tell you the truth. Sorry for leaving you to believe you weren't enough, when the truth is you were everything. You are everything. Draven loves you. He always has. He destroyed himself to keep you safe, and he's been paying for it every day since. Please forgive him. Forgive me. Forgive Dad. And please, please be happy. That's all any of us ever wanted for you. All my love, Talia. The letter fell from my hands. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't process what I just read. Dad had been dying. The rejection was a deal to keep me safe. Draven had done it to protect me. All of it, the pain, the humiliation, the 3 years of agony had been a lie. A lie told to keep me safe. Ravenna, Ragnar's hand was on my shoulder. What did it say? I couldn't answer. I couldn't find words. My wolf was howling inside me, keening with grief and rage and confusion. Everything I'd believed, everything I'd felt, it had all been wrong. Draven hadn't rejected me because I wasn't enough. He'd rejected me because I was everything, because he'd loved me enough to destroy us both to keep me safe. And I'd spent 3 years hating him for it. Ravenna. Ragnar's voice was firmer now, commanding. I need you to tell me what the letter said. I picked it up with shaking hands and handed it to him, watched his eyes move across the page, his expression darkening with each line. When he finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Jade. Thank you for delivering this. You've done the pack a service. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I'm having my people escort you to the border with supplies and money for your trouble. Where are you headed? South, Jade said, looking for a new pack to join. I'll make some calls, see if I can find you a placement. He looked at the three rogues with something almost like respect. You kept your word to a dying woman. That matters, Jade nodded. She looked at me, her expression sympathetic. I'm sorry for your loss, both of them. I managed a nod. Ragnar's people appeared, pack members carrying bags of food and supplies. They led the three rogues away, leaving me standing there with Ragnar and the letter that had just shattered my entire world. Ravenna, Ragnar's voice was gentle. We need to talk about this. I need to see him. My voice didn't sound like my own. I need to see Draven. You're in shock. Maybe you should, now. I looked at Ragnar, and whatever he saw in my eyes made him nod. I'll take you to him. We got back in the truck. Ragnar drove in silence, glancing at me every few minutes like he was worried I might shatter. He drove to a house on the eastern edge of Packlands. Draven's house. I'd never been here before. Do you want me to come in with you? Ragnar asked. No, this is something I need to do alone. Ravenna. He caught my arm before I could get out. Whatever you're feeling right now, anger, grief, confusion, it's all valid. But be careful. Draven's been living with this for 3 years. This is going to hit him hard too. I walked to the front door and knocked. The door opened. Draven stood there in sweatpants and nothing else, his hair messy. When he saw me, his whole body went still. Ravenna, can I come in? Of course, yeah, come in. He stepped back and I walked into his house. It was neat, sparsely furnished, like he didn't spend much time here. I turned to face him and saw the confusion in his eyes, the hope he was trying to hide. Rogues showed up at the border this morning, I said. My voice was steady, too steady. From Moongay's pack, they were looking for me. His confusion deepened. What? Why? They had a letter from Talia. I pulled it from my pocket and held it up. She died 2 months ago, Draven. Did you know that? All the color drained from his face. What? She got sick. The healers couldn't save her. Before she died, she wrote me this letter. She made those rogues promise to find me. What did it say? His voice was barely above a whisper. You know what it said, or you can guess. I watched it happen the moment he realized. The moment understanding dawned, followed immediately by panic. Ravenna, my father was dying. The words came out hard, clipped. You and your father made a deal, reject me, and after he died, I'd be taken care of, protected, safe. Ravenna, please, you swore an oath to never tell me the truth, to let me believe you rejected me because I wasn't enough, because you didn't want me, because my sister was better. I had to. He took a step toward me. Ravenna, I had to. Your father was dying and he was terrified of leaving you alone. My father said this was the only way, so you destroyed me to keep me safe. My voice broke. Draven, do you have any idea what you did? What these 3 years have been like? Yes, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. Yes, because they've been hell for me too. Every single day, knowing you were out there hating me. Knowing I'd hurt you and couldn't explain, couldn't fix it, couldn't take it back. Then why didn't you tell me? The words came out as almost a scream. Why didn't you find a way? Why did you let me believe? Because I swore an oath to my alpha. Breaking it would have meant exile, would have meant leaving you alone and unprotected anyway. He was breathing hard now, his hands clenched. I made a choice, a terrible, awful choice. I chose your safety over your happiness, over our happiness. You should have let me make that choice. I couldn't. Your father was dying, Ravenna. He was my beta, my mentor, my friend, and he was terrified of leaving his daughter alone in this world. So when my father offered a solution, even a cruel one, I took it, because I loved you too much to let you face that alone. I stared at him, at this man who'd broken my heart to save me. My father's trust fund, I said, The money that was there when I got to Silver Creek, that was from this deal, he nodded. Alpha Torridge set it up after your father died, made sure you'd be taken care of like he promised. And you, what did you get out of this deal? Nothing. His laugh was bitter. I got nothing. I lost everything. Talia left. I know, 3 months after you did. She said she couldn't live with the guilt. He ran a hand through his hair. I tried to make it work with her, tried to honor the deal to make the sacrifice worth something. But we were just broken, both of us. The tears I'd been holding back finally fell. I hated you. For 3 years I hated you. I know. He took another step closer. You were supposed to. That was the point. You were supposed to hate me enough to leave, to start over, where you'd be safe and happy. I wasn't happy. I was surviving. I know that now. Thaler let it slip once, and his voice broke. I'm sorry, Ravenna. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting you. From what? I'm a wolf. I can protect myself. From being alone, from poverty, from having no pack, no support. Your father thought, we all thought, that without him, you'd be vulnerable. And my father said the only way to truly protect you was to set you free. I deserved that choice. You're right, you did. But I was 22 years old, and my alpha and my beta were telling me this was the only way. That if I truly loved you, I'd let you go. He was crying now. I thought I was being selfless. Turns out I was just a coward who was too afraid to fight for a better solution. I didn't know what to do with all of this. Regret for time we'd lost. I loved you, I said. So much. You were my whole world. I loved you too. I still do. He took another step until we were almost touching. Every day for 3 years I've loved you. That never stopped, Ravenna. Even when you hated me, even when you were gone, I never stopped. I looked up at him, and I didn't know if I could forgive him. Didn't know if loving someone was enough when they'd hurt you this deeply, even with good intentions. I need time, I said finally, to process this, all of this. I know, he wiped at his eyes. Take all the time you need. I've waited 3 years. I can wait longer. Draven, I love you, he said again. Whatever happens, whatever you decide, I need you to know that. I loved you then. I love you now. The words should have made me happy, but they just made me feel more broken. I turned and walked out of his house. Ragnar was waiting in the truck. He didn't ask questions. He simply drove me back to the apartment in silence. At my door, he finally spoke. Are you going to be okay? I don't know, I admitted. For what it's worth, he said, Draven made a terrible choice, but he made it for the right reasons. Does that matter? Does intention count when the result is still pain? I think that's something you'll have to decide for yourself. He paused. I've watched Draven for 2 years. Whatever forgiveness you can or can't give him, he's already denied himself. Thaler was waiting at the apartment. He took one look at me and pulled me into a hug. Talia's dead, I said against his shoulder. I know, Ragnar called me. She wrote me a letter. She explained everything. I know that too. Did you know? I pulled back to look at him. About the deal, about why Draven rejected me. Thaler hesitated, then nodded. Not at first, but yes, eventually I found out. And you didn't tell me. I couldn't. Draven had sworn an oath, and telling you would have broken it. It would have gotten him exiled. His eyes were sad. I'm sorry, Ravenna. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I couldn't risk his life for it. I pulled away from him. Everyone lied to me. Everyone. My father, Talia, Draven, you. All of you decided what was best for me without asking, without giving me a choice. You're right, we did, and that was wrong. Thaler didn't make excuses. We thought we were protecting you. Turns out we just hurt you more. I sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. I don't know what to do with all this, whether to forgive or stay angry or just give up on all of it. Thaler sat beside me. You don't have to decide right now. You don't have to decide at all. Whatever you feel is valid, Ravenna. I should go back to Silver Creek and leave all this behind again. Is that what you want? I thought about it. The stability, the peace, the distance from all of this pain. But I also thought about running with the pack last night, about Draven's tears and Ragnar's steady presence. I don't know what I want, I admitted. Then stay, Thaler said, at least for a few more days. Figure it out. You've spent 3 years running. Maybe it's time to stay and see what happens. Maybe he was right, or maybe I was just too tired to run anymore. I spent the rest of that day in a fog. My father had been dying, arranging for my safety in the only way he knew how, by breaking my heart. And Draven, he'd stood in front of the entire pack and destroyed us, not because he wanted to, but because he loved me, because he'd thought he was saving me. How was I supposed to feel about that? Grateful, angry, both. Night fell. I sat by the window, staring out at the dark streets of Blackridge Falls. My phone buzzed, a text from Draven. I know you need space. I'm giving it to you. But please know I'm here. Whenever you're ready, whatever you need, I'm here. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, I know. It wasn't much, but it was something. I must have fallen asleep because I woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Thaler was in the kitchen. Ragnar called. He wants to see you this afternoon. He said it's not urgent, just when you're ready. I'll go see him, I said. Are you sure you're up for it? No, but I need to do something. Sitting here thinking is driving me crazy. I showered and dressed, moving mechanically. At 2, I walked to the Alpha house. The pack felt different in daylight, more real. I saw the sense of prosperity and order that Ragnar had brought. Luna led me up to Ragnar's office. He looked up when I entered. Ravenna, thank you for coming. How are you holding up? I honestly don't know. He nodded. I wanted to talk to you about what happens next. Next? You came here for answers. Now you have them. The question is, what are you going to do with those answers? Are you staying? Because whatever you decide affects not just you and Draven, but the entire pack. How? Because Draven is my second. If you stay and continue to punish him, that affects his ability to lead. And if you leave again, that will break him beyond repair. So what are you saying? That I have to forgive him for the good of the pack? No, I'm saying you need to be honest about what you can and can't do. Can you forgive him, Ravenna? Not today, but eventually. Can you rebuild what was broken? Could I? That was the question I'd been avoiding. I don't know, I said. Understanding doesn't erase the pain. No, it doesn't. Ragnar was quiet. Can I tell you something? About my mate. Her name was Elise. We were fated mates. When my brother challenged my father for the alpha position, she stood with him. Not because she didn't love me, but because she believed he would be a better alpha, that his vision for the pack was stronger. What happened? My brother lost the challenge. He died. And Elise, she couldn't live with what she'd done. She couldn't forgive herself for choosing wrong. She took her own life 2 days after his funeral. My heart clenched. I'm so sorry. I tell you this because I understand what it's like to love someone who makes a choice that destroys you. Elise chose my brother over me, and it killed her. Draven chose to protect you in a way that broke you both. But here's the difference. Draven is still here, still fighting, still hoping. You have a chance that Elise and I never got, the chance to rebuild, to create something new from the ashes. What if I can't? Then you can't. But you owe it to yourself to be honest about it. Don't stay out of guilt. Don't leave out of fear. Make a choice based on what you actually want. And what do I want? That's something only you can answer. I left his office more confused than when I'd entered. Ragnar was right. I needed to make a choice. I walked through Packlands, past the training grounds, the common house, the school, and I realized something. I wanted this. I wanted to be part of this pack again, wanted to have a home. But did I want Draven? That was harder to answer. I found myself at the old oak tree, the place where we'd first kissed. I sat down, my back against the trunk, and closed my eyes. What did I want?